Welcome back everyone to ESL One Genting 2017. The trophy awaits the winners. The hands are unknown. DC are already there. They're waiting for Wings or Newbee, and it's all tied up right on the button. Brilliant game from Wings to bring them back into contention, and we'll face Game 3 very shortly as we head in to the third and final draft between the two Chinese giants. Wings much happier after game number 2.
Is there a more satisfying spell to kill with than Reaper Scythe?
No.
No, I think it's
not
the most.
Especially now that you get credited with the kill no matter what, it's even more so.
Yeah, and you get all this regen, and you're just like, yes.
There's this big scythe just like destroying them.
And then you get to see the result, the death timer up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels so good. That feels so good.
It used to be better with the little Reaper icon.
Did I ever tell you about?
I know you're fucked.
Did I ever tell you about my recent pub I played against an AM?
What happened?
He had an Aghanim Scepter.
Oh.
I bought back as Necrophos. Reaper scythed him at some point in time in the middle of the fight. We already procced it once, but there's no way to sell that AM Ags is up, right? Throw the Reaper scythe on him, bounces back on me, kills me. 160-second death timer. 160. I was just like, okay,
You're gonna get an
I'm
abandoned.
done with the Dota game.
Yeah, almost out of the game. It was just abandoned.
I've never seen anything like that.
Crazy stuff. Right, we're going to get into Game 3 draft very shortly. What are we expecting this time round, Cap? We've already seen Wings pull out a few extras.
Well, Jack, did you say maybe Necrophos gets banned this time around? Maybe in the 3-4? I think
maybe.
I think Ben mentioned it.
I think that hero is so special. Yeah, I think it's like, it was very specific, the fact that Newbee had like so much physical damage that they couldn't abuse the Necrophos.
I wouldn't go that far. That seems unlikely, but I think. Oh well, never mind.
Well,
there it goes.
there you go.
Wow.
First phase.
Yeah, we didn't like that. We didn't like playing against that at all. Couldn't kill it at all. Let's get rid of it.
Very well. All right, well, that leaves
Arc Warden's the only one that's left that's new to CM that maybe Newbee haven't played against.
Yeah.
You talked about it being a support.
Yeah.
True.
So it's possible, but I think Wings have to stick to the same general plan of they need something to throw Newbee off the rhythm and throw them off their comfort zone a little bit. And through the draft, that's the best way for them to accomplish that. And again, that superior teamfight execution. It feels like if they get to that point in the game where that starts to matter, and they have an advantage in that department, they can win.
Let's do the same thing, but no Necrophos. Probably would have won.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't have died much.
What was the laning situation like last game?
So was the Weaver and Clockwork going in the offlane too?
Yeah.
It seems like they're always caught off guard by that when there's like, the first game there were 2 supports in the bottom lane, the last game there was 1 support, and they just feed deaths unnecessarily down there.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
SF is back, and it's paired with the Venge, which we've spoken about a number of times over the last 3 days.
And we said the Vengeful Spirit is it's a good fighting core versus Drill Ranger. It has a lot of value here, and obviously there's a ton of synergy with the Shadow Fiend as well.
Yeah, the minus armor is something we saw Wings use actually on the first day of the group stage, and then also the flexibility because we have seen them pick this Venge early on and then transition it to a support, and that certainly adds a bit more wrinkles for them as well.
I've seen a swap Requiem before. That was one of the coolest things I've seen. Have you guys seen that before?
I haven't, no.
No. It's a cool combo. Very satisfying too.
Well, Requiem is also pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
You're standing right on top of someone.
Especially with the new Ags. Especially when it's first revealed, you know, they're like, oh, I survived through that bit of damage, then it comes back in, and you're just like, oh god.
His talent is so good with the Axe. He has
Yeah.
plus like 92 damage, I think.
Yeah.
This is level 20 talent, which is absurd on a hero that already does a ton of physical damage.
Yeah, I think like the Axe is very legit on SF. It makes the hero such a strong team fighter. Like it comes back, you get like this extra bit of nuke damage, you get this heal. It's
So why Venge Core? They're the only team that's really doing it, and why versus the Drow?
I mean, I feel like it's a pretty good brawling hero. It's able to close distance very well, and I think it's just like anytime that you have the Draw Ranger, it's this push strategy, right? As long as you have a core that is able to do better team fight than the Draw Ranger is able to provide, then you're good. Vengeful Spirit provides almost an equal amount of physical damage thanks to the minus armor that he has, and then he also provides this magic missile nuke. And even if it's not there, right, then the swap is still really good from a support position because the Drone Ranger is single target focus.
Right, you're more self-sufficient as well. We talked about if they have trouble securing their safe lane, if they're worried about tri-lanes, that certainly helps them too. And then the Ogre, so, I mean, they're pretty much expecting the Shadow Fiend to go mid no matter what, and they want to give them a hard time. If they don't go with, we saw a team earlier in the tournament go with the Viper up against the Shadow Fiend. Maybe not something like that, but again, the Ogre bodyguard sitting across the
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, right? The Ogre just abusing that poor SF. How do you think Wings is supposed to deal with that? Do you pick up like a 4 position that also sits in the mid lane?
They like Wisp is pretty common as a mid babysitter for the Shadow Fiend amongst the Chinese teams.
Yeah, Wisp would fill that role very well.
Saw it banned in the last, was it second phase last game?
It was very last ban.
Oh, okay.
Taking the Queen of Pain out.
Oh, no, it was third. It was second phase. You're right.
Do you, against these lineups, I guess you already have Vengeful Spirit, so maybe you don't worry about the Faceless Void. Again, I think it's the only time that Faceless Void is a possible pick.
I like it versus the Lifestealer a lot.
Yeah, maybe that. But I think for the most part, he's mostly going to be viable when you run Drone Ranger strategies.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get rid of the OD now as well.
Yeah.
Is he that? I think Shadow Fiend's like okay in lane versus OD.
Yeah, he just double nukes the wave, so he doesn't have to worry about the imprisonment harassment.
Yeah, wouldn't he be more worried about Storm? They can't ban both.
But then it's still is Storm even viable? It's just patch question. So, but yeah, there it is.
Go Ben.
OD's more manageable. If I were Shadow Fiend, I'd prefer facing OD, I think,
Yeah.
with the Drow lineup.
I like that they're concealing KP's pick a bit more in these drafts. I mean, they had a tendency to go with that very early on, but it seems that they want to find him more of a counter or a comfortable matchup for them. And
Yeah,
tournaments
it's
is kind of
been an issue for him, isn't it? Because he does seem to have had some inconsistent games. And do you think it's because they've had to pick it early and then he's been countered hard?
Well, I think in terms of the draft, if you reveal his hero early on, then Wings knows exactly how to deal with it. Like,
Yeah.
what are they giving up in the safe lane? What's a good matchup for them? If you hide it a little bit later as a counter pick and to protect him, I think it's useful, especially if they're counting on him to make plays that much.
So Jug removed at the end of the second phase. Let's see what the second phase picks are.
Man, neither one of these teams they just put no value
That's
to
shocking.
Omni Knight.
Wow.
But remember they said, is that an NA thing?
Yeah.
So what they told Jack.
Yeah.
It is, as well as
Ice Ice or Shaker.
So plenty of games in the middle of the year from him on that.
But it does mean they're lacking, unless they're going to play like a pretty aggressive gank-heavy support duo into that mid lane, they don't have a current solution with the Ogre versus SF problem.
That's true. Bench could always babysit too if they want to run that. I think it's okay to get the Shaker that's not like a huge playmaking for, at least not in the early game, because they have the Vengeful Spirit who can kind of make up for that in her one position.
I've seen them pair Drow with Weaver a lot.
Clockwork, this time, last time they picked it up, it was really effective. This time around, it's just kind of okay. It's not the greatest versus Vengeful Spirit for both swap as well as the core Vengeful Spirit. It's obviously really good versus Shadow Fiend and Earthshaker, though.
Yeah, it's incredibly good versus the Shaker. They don't really have a good counter for it. Rubik Lift is pretty common. Disruptor is also pretty common, but I don't really like either of those versus Newbee's lineup. Are Newbee just going to pick the exact same thing?
Would be funny. Maybe they didn't think they did that badly at all and got caught out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got to be pretty happy, fairly happy about their performance. Like just later on, things start to turn around in terms of how they're outlaning Wings for the most part, how they're able to control the game early on. They've got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, if they think it was just like a draft issue in the sense that they gave the opponent Necrophos and they didn't really know how to deal with it, then it would make sense for them. However, at the same time, they're going to have less surprises up their sleeves. Like they're going to expect Clockwork +1 probably in the off lane, so on and so forth, if they want to play it similarly.
I wouldn't mind them swapping back to like a gyrocopter for Wings instead of having that bench support, but that goes right out the window. Thank you, Wings.
So some more armor synergy that we've seen, and then also like Newbee seems to have kind of consistently had this issue where they go very heavily towards single target damage.
Yeah.
And again, like if you have a defensive support like a Dazzle or Oracle who can help deal with that and synergizes with their armor, I think it's a nice pick for them here.
Yeah, or force staffs like we saw last game. I think that really helped them out a lot, their force staff usage.
I think we're still looking at the possibility, though, that Newbee could overwhelm Wings with these just... Like, I think that oh, they go the Draw Ranger Dusa strategy. I mean, now that they've committed to the Vengeful Spirit's, safe lane core, right? The Dusa becomes a lot stronger.
That's not necessarily true. I think they can use Earthshaker in the off lane. One of the most common pickups that is versus the Dusa is the Anti-Mage, which I think is actually not that bad here versus the Medusa. I think they have a pretty strong forward that can fight while the Anti-Mage is farming.
Yeah, you're
versus
right.
the Dusa. They still have one ban though if they're scared of it, and I think Anti-Mage is by far one of the best ones.
Yeah, and most of the other Diffusal Blade carriers are kind of either not viable or already banned out, like the Jug.
Yeah, and Diffusal got nerfed a little bit too.
They could also decide this is a bit greedier on the side of Newbee. Actually, we've seen this Medusa Drow combo since in like the Manila Major back that he used against them especially. So they could decide to go with an Ursa, something that's even more aggressive early on.
That's true. Ursa, I think, is one of the better ones to deal with it too. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Wings to do something strange like the PL. I would say too. It's like not bad. Rushing the Drow Ranger, Clockwork, and Ogre also struggle to deal with it, but late game, I don't particularly favor that matchup a lot.
With the Ogre, it could be that Newbee planned this out for a while too, right? Because you always need some sort of damage upgrade for Medusa. Having Draw Ranger is a big one, but you always want a little bit more, and that Bloodlust is super value for Dusa. You don't want to have this hero at 30 minutes still feel like the physical damage isn't enough, so you need upgrades from these allies. Rubik versus Earthshaker.
Yep. Cool down there.
I like this Dusa for Newbee just because I think they're going to play it a lot faster than the way Fnatic did.
Yeah.
And especially with the Drow Ranger, it just becomes so much more powerful. They've built, as you mentioned, two heroes that synergize well with the Dusa. They have the Clockwork to protect them. It's also very good versus the Shadow Fiend and Earthshaker to just create this huge buffer in between them.
Of course it is.
Of course.
Of course it is.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
If there was one hero we weren't expecting,
Yeah.
it was the Broodmother.
You're gonna see a Dazzle Brood offlane?
Yeah, I think
Dazzle
so.
Brood
Dazzle Brood
off.
that offlane
so
is
scary.
ridiculously strong.
Absolutely crazy. What a crazy draft win then. We're going to go into game 3. It's all or nothing for both teams as we head back to our commentary team. Purge and Gods, it's all yours.
Welcome back for game number 3. Wings versus Newbee, winner through to the grand finals to face Digital Chaos. And Wings, once again, Purge, have done something a little bit different with their draft.
I was really liking what Newbee did with the Medusa pick, but now with the Broodmother, it's kind of scary here, especially for Drow Ranger. Brood is one of the best heroes against her because she has no AoE. So if you accumulate enough spiders, that's a dead Drow Ranger. So I really love the pick. With Dazzle, it can definitely be very effective. And even if it doesn't go super well, you got a regular Dazzle. So first Broodmother of the new patch. Let's see how it does.
This was the old school counter, yeah, like you say, to the Drow Ranger. It used to be picked up, I mean, it used to be a top tier pick that was getting first 2 picked even back in the old ESL One New York days when saw it rise to
Vega?
prominence. Yeah, Vega with Mag.
Yeah.
Then DK Phobos was playing it a lot. But Faith Beyond, this is a little spiffy looking Brood set. But yeah, great synergy with the Dazzle as mentioned, and Dazzle doesn't even have to necessarily start up there. You may want to look to prioritize Brood getting some levels before you make that rotation up there. Get the like a good Spiderling army before you get the Shadow Wave Heal Bomb going.
And that's kind of what it seems like he's going to do with Quelling Blade, Stout Shield. More likely he'll jungle. Quelling's not that weird, but with the Stout, I assume that he's ready to retreat if needed. And it's so important that Newbee does try to shut him down, keep him one as long as possible, because they don't have good AoE. Their AoE is Fade Bolt in the safe lane, like until Ogre hits 6, that is. So
are they sending Clocked safe lane? They may just be sacking that lane in the sense that they're not going to try and fight the Brood with the Drow lane.
But again, as we've seen from the first couple games, aggro tri-laning a Drow Ranger is the solution. Now they're the ones aggroing.
With a Drow Ranger.
With a Drow.
Not by choice, I imagine, as Newbee is smoked up, looking to capitalize around this bounty rune. They've got a high ground ward here. They will see the Earthshaker, but Earthshaker also sees them and gets out of there before trouble arrives. Does get them an extra bounty rune, but they were perhaps thinking they could get themselves a kill as well.
Yeah, would have been nice to have the great positioning there. It's so important how some teams do stand like that. They had the protection from the trees, and with the Vengeful Spirit spotting the smoke break, just easy save there. One lets bounty rune, and they'll do their best to win this lane. They put a sentry down as well to spot for any camp blocks, but there's nothing of that sort. It's been a little bit of a late lane rotation.
Mid lane, though, this is not a great lane for a Shadow Fiend. The creep block is on the Dire Hill. It will push out perhaps with the range creeps and their status, but bottom lane is where we'll draw our attention. They're going to be getting a nice fissure onto Kaka. He's been blocked off. He's going to look to run himself away here. Y has another poison touch only in 5 seconds time. The right-click damage may be enough on its own. The Tango, he barely survives.
He can chase, maybe get a poison touch, but obviously he'll use Shrine if needed.
Yep, he pops it just to be on the safe side.
Very worth it for Innocence to follow like that, because they guaranteed that Kaka had to waste it on himself and not actually do an AoE.
Okay, that's perhaps a slightly advantageous start for Wings. And this tri-lane is actually, don't be fooled by the fact that Newbee are the ones quote-unquote aggroing here. It's a tri-lane in Wings' favor, and they've...
Oh, that was a close one. This is Venge carry, by the way.
Yep. So Shadow picking up the farm in this lane. It will be pushing out here, making sure that Drow can get some farm, but we'll draw our attention back towards this mid lane where SF is being dual laned. The Ogre's presence giving him a very rough time. Medusa even coming in. This may be an early first blood. There's one Fairy Fire available, but the Medusa picks it up, gets tower aggro
Just
off
salvin.
herself. And
Nothing weird here, just tanking tower, healing.
Welcome to a new age of Dota 2.
That's a really nice dive there. That's the kind of pressure they need to do, because that's the one lane that's actually vulnerable. They should be expecting Drow to get less farm in this lane. And as of yet, the fissures have been really scary. So they've got to at least leave Blink in a worse place than normal.
And taking a look at the one other lane we haven't seen, the top lane is gone just fine for Clockwork. He's CSing and doing not too bad here, at least for now, while Brood doesn't have too many levels or too many Spiderlings. That may change soon, but it's not a lane they're necessarily expecting to win. KP's just up here with the order, probably get some farm and XP, just keep the Brood busy. He's leveling up Rocket Flare for some extra AoE.
It's the important thing is that you do AoE damage to spiders so that they can't clump as much. When they clump, they do tons of damage, so Rocket Flare covers that basis. And it's honestly not that bad of a skill to max out. Great at killing raindrops. Yep. He'll be completely fine in this lane. It's really about the rotations, though.
And with level 4 bottom lane, they will get a catch, a lift onto Shadow. He's been pulled back. With those Frost Arrows, the slows coming out, the body blocks from Faith as well, and they're actually going to catch the Venge. That's the carry Venge we mentioned, and Newbee's aggro tri-lane strikes, and it really has been Faith on the Ogre Magi, the big playmaker so far for Newbee. First at mid, now at bottom. And
amazing play as well by KP on the safe lane. Dazzle rotates up here. He gives the sentry to the Broodmother. He places a sentry, and instantly he used the Quelling Blade, or a Tango actually, on KP to kill the sentry. And it looks like he got the second one as well. That's literally 200 gold from the supports on Wings' side, and he just killed them both. And that guarantees that spiders can't harass him, that he can continue last hitting. He doesn't have to worry about heal bombs from invis targets.
Yeah, we'll see them coming. He's got the Poor Man's Shield boots already, so he's actually pretty hard to kill up here. So Dazzle maybe wasting some of his time trying to prioritize this top lane. Mid lane, Kaka's come in. He got scammed, but it was too late for a response. The TP, though, will be there. I don't think they actually get that kill anyways. There was not an Ogre with them. It was just a casual Rubik lift.
But if Rubik's there, throw the lift, because that's another TP scroll that the enemy team just used. I believe that one was Dazzle, and now he feels like he has to go pressure and defend the mid lane instead of sitting top looking for a kill on Clockwork. It's the pressure that's been going on from Newbee so far has been great.
Yeah. So what's going to be the idea with this Brood? Are you just looking, to camp this top lane and just keep on fighting into the Clockwork? At some point, do you swap the lanes and try and put the Brood versus the Drow?
I'm not completely sure what the current build on Brood is. That's really what the question comes down to, I feel. What are the talent trees? Do you go damage? Do you go the Midas Echo Saber build? I found that build very effective. We're going to see maybe a kill on the bot lane here.
Can they catch someone like the Venge? They get the lift. The Fissure is there. We'll catch out
Great Fissure.
Just the one hero with the stun, but blocks all three.
Yeah, the Observer what they placed there it's going to be good, but if they would have placed a lane ward in front of the trees, it could have been better there, because grabbing Earthshaker would have been a for sure kill.
There's limited mana on the Earthshaker now as far as throwing out fissures in this bottom lane goes. But it seems the supports are going to make a beeline towards that middle lane.
And they got the D ward as well. Sentry already there.
did do so under Radiant Ward detection, but it seems...
They got a Shadow Fiend.
Walks in, he's gonna go, he's trying to get to his Sanctuary, so he knows that if he fights by this one, he should be okay. He will pop it. Doesn't want to stand by it. He's actually a little bit worried about his position here. He's trying to get back to his teammates.
Yeah, that was a good play there. There was no way that he was going to kill either the Rubik or the Ogre before he died there, despite the huge regen. And if anything, just a small tangent to getting some mana. So the last minute or two of Newbee's positioning hasn't been as amazing, and Vivian also really pressuring the tower now.
Yeah. I guess rather than questioning the Brood, what's the Clock's idea? Do you sit up here defending against the Brood, or do you, now that you're 6, look for those gank opportunities as early as possible?
Well, somebody's got to do it, right? And it's either Clock is by far the safest right now, just because at least he can defend himself with power cogs, and worst case, maybe use a hook shot at Rocket Flare to kill spiders. But at some point, I could see Dusa going up there as well. It's just for now, it's probably safer for Dusa to sit mid. So I think he just keeps getting farm. It all comes down to the supports to rotate, and Rubik and Ogre are definitely capable.
Yeah, he's going to just keep on doing that. And the nice thing about once he gets to level 7 is that Rocket Flare can instantly kill the little baby spiderlings with just 1 Rocket Flare from full HP. But for now, level 6 only. Does have a Dazzle in the neighborhood, so needs to be a little bit wary of how much effort he puts into defending this tower. And he's been gone, and the cogs is not enough. It actually traps the Brood in with him. The spiderlings chasing, and this looks like it should be a kill into KP. 1 last Rocket Flare before he does eventually go down.
At some point, there are too many spiders, and a Soul Ring facilitates that. Engagement on the bottom.
Yeah, they've come in, wrapping around with Kako on the Rubik, lifts Shadow back in. And his escape is somewhat limited until the Fissure comes in, but that's still not going to be enough. Ice will have to watch his buddy go down. The good news is the top tier 1 tower has been claimed. Faith Bian putting his team in a good position as far as putting pressure on the other side of the map.
Yeah, if they just keep stabilizing here, yeah, they're losing heroes, but their tower hasn't been touched yet. So Brood should be able to control all of the Dire jungle, or at least a large portion of it. So could turn into a position where their carries can farm, and Newbee's gonna have less access to farm.
KP immediately just heading back towards his top lane. You kind of mentioned it. It's someone's got to deal with the Brood. So as much as a Clockwork traditionally looks to start rotating, finding those ganks as soon as he hits level 6, that is not something KP is going to be allowed by Wings.
He still can gank though. He's got TPs ready, bottle as well.
Just a few TPs.
The desperation, I'm dying TP.
Yep, bottom lane, another lift comes in. The Fissure is immediately thrown on the Drow Ranger. It looks like Venge wants to go for a stun. The heal will keep Shadow up and healthy, and the Drow gets turned around on. Shadow low, the hook shot will miss, and Shadow actually gets graved up perhaps a bit too early as he's still being chased down here. Another heal kicks in, but KP will find the kill, will go down to the Shadow Fiend. It's Blink showing up to salvage the situation here. A 3-for-1 so far. SCC's TP not really amounting to all too much for Newbee, and this says hello top lane. Brood is diving, wants to unite, should be able to get him. He can chase deeper, but doesn't have any webs, and the Ogre Magi's presence will deter any further chase from Faith Bian.
He's going for the strongest build that he can early, just phase boots, Soul Ring. He can pressure these guys so easily. Even Faith here has to be careful. The web's really the only thing holding back from him going on an early rampage. And he's 900 gold towards a potential Midas. We'll see what he does build.
Yep.
But I think that build's fantastic. Maybe there's something new though. A lot of new items.
For now, Faith, it looks like just trying to get some wards down this top lane. Grabs a bounty rune. Is it better, do you think, to try and address the Brood, deal with it like as the pest it is, or do you think they're better off ignoring it?
An occasional gank is super important. He's the highest net worth right now. There's pretty straightforward ways to do it. You pop a smoke, you run 4 to 3 heroes, your smoke dies, you pop dust. Yep. You have a solution. On the bright side, for Newbee, they do have a Clockwork. Clockwork's fantastic at shutting down a Broodmother and finding him in the trees no matter where he is. Because once you do a little damage to the Brood, he can't actually phase through trees. So I think an occasional gank, it's super important. It can give them a lot of gold advantage back to their side.
Boom, there it goes.
Put Unite in the top lane for a little bit, but once it pushes out past the tower, he decides it is not a lane he wants to be in against a Brood. I mean, speaking of which, the Brood is kind of tucked away in the trees, not feeling too safe.
That's all you need. Let the spiders get the last hits.
Yep.
And occasionally feeding Clockworks. 60 gold. That's actually a lot. It's going to really add up.
Clockwork, yeah, happy to take what farm he can in this top lane, and that's something where he is guaranteed a decent amount of farm going straight into the arcane boots just to sustain that constant rocket flare, yeah, spam. And I mean, Newbee, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to just hit this timing where they can 5-man and push down towers with a Drow Medusa because of the fact this Brood is in the game.
Yeah, just seeing the way the Ogre's been playing the last minute, he's actually just dual jungling with the Drow Ranger. When have you last seen that? Just pretty much no reason once Drow hits 6.
Here comes Wings with a smoke towards the top lane. Knowing they can bypass the Dire Observer with this one, they're going to find KP. It looks like the stun start things off. Shadow is going to wrap around in from behind. The Brood is there as well. The hook shot for a bit of extra stun, but he doesn't get out the Brood out of the cogs, and as a result, KP should be going down. The turnaround is there. Newbee come in with both Drow and the Rubik. They get one, and they want a second. Won't be able to find that. A clockwork for Avenge so far.
It was a great reaction, though, by Newbee. Rubik getting there just in time. Steal spawn Spiderlings is actually a pretty good grab here. He can use this to generate him some gold.
Yeah. Does have the arcane boots to even sustain it for as far as mana goes, but with the clockwork off the lane, the AoE is limited, and it looks like a tier 2 tower is going to be either claimed or at least have a significant amount of damage dealt to it. As Shadow Fiend has rotated in, just treads and infused raindrops here, enough to make him kind of tanky enough to join up with his team and fight.
KP's the raindrop slayer, man. Rocket's so good at that. Mostly focusing on spiders for now, though. And again, they still have very good AoE heroes now. Split shot's fantastic. Snake is very good at killing spiders. They've got some solutions. They lost the 2 towers, but they still have the other towers on the map, and they still have the shrine. So they have decent control of this area of the map, despite the early tower push from Wings.
The kind of, I guess, impression I'm slightly getting from this game is it does feel like Newbee are going to have to go more late game rather than look for that mid game timing.
Here comes the smoke.
Yeah, there we go. You talk about smoke ganks on the Brood. This one they get the dust, they get the lift into the hook shot, and they'll bring down Faith Beyond.
It's perfectly executed there. Throwing him back, getting out of the way for the hook shot. It's honestly a straightforward kill if you commit a smoke to it, but you just have to do that once in a while as the top net worth hero. And the kill went to SC as well on Medusa, so a bit more gold advantage for him.
And that's a common problem for Broodmothers. You get very far ahead when you have these good starts, but then you become this big prized bounty for your opponents to pick you off with.
That's why so many Broods just hang out in trees so often, because they don't want to show in the lane, because then their opponents will be able to kill them. And I'd argue that the jungle now is maybe a bit worse for Broods, at least in the jungle area. All the tree clumps are more small. They're not as connected, I feel, unless you sit on the edges of the map.
Yep, I totally see what you mean. But yeah, so Wings, they're going to see what their next moves are going to be. They send Faith Beyond back top with an Echo Saber, so one of the builds you kind of mentioned, minus the Midas, but gives them some good stats and kind of more fighting-oriented build.
And it's utility as well. It gives him some slow. He can front load his damage with Insatiable Hunger. Really synergizes well there.
Well, the rest of Wings seem to be playing more of a farming-oriented game for now. They have got a smoke on the 2 supports if they want to make another move, but when you look at their lineup, they've got a true 3-core lineup, both SF, Venge, and the Brood, 3 Agi heroes that can all scale very well into the late game. Earthshaker wants to probably farm a Blink at some point as well, and it seems both supports are just sitting behind cores who are farming.
They're anticipating the Newbee ganks, basically. Clockwork could be moving around. He's got tons of levels from his early laning stage, so that's something that they are going to do. With that said, though, Earthshaker's pretty much been just taking the lanes that have been empty all game up until this point, after that tri-lane stage. And it's paying off. He's got tons of regen items, so if it's in a long engagement, he's going to be able to fissure a lot.
Oh, this is not good. Ice actually walks in. I don't think he wanted to be in the front lines here, but luckily for him, it's just the 2 supports he runs into initially, and will back off. Trying to get down some Observer wards there in the front lines. Gets forced back in the hook shot. Narrowly misses.
Just a little too far there. No fissure stolen either. Nicely done to cover that. Ice has to be careful. Fissure is one of the best abilities you can steal.
They do prevent those deep aggressive wards being planted, so instead just a lane ward down in this bottom lane, as Newbee will be forced to either defend or let this bottom tier 1 tower go. Wings have grouped up as 4, Brood creating space for these 4, I should really say, as they feel like Brood is guaranteed to keep at least 1 or 2 busy at this top lane, and it's the Clockwork for now, but it's a Clockwork who can always TP, or can TP in typically, but is on cooldown for now.
Yeah, I actually like how he's playing this game heavily. He misses hookshot. That's usually the time period where Clockwork should just go back to Fountain, get regened up, and then go start moving across the map again. But instead he goes back, he defends, and he puts all of his early gold into a Midas. And it's a really good timing for a Clock.
I think this is kind of, as mentioned, the Newbee just saying we're going late game. Like they... Yeah, they have a Drow, and you think of Drow as that mid-game pushing team, but they have a Brood problem, and they're going to say, look, they've got 3 scaling cores, let's make sure we have 3 scaling cores Not that Clockwork's going to be able to dish out as much damage as a carry, but he can still get some useful items for the team.
I mean, he certainly could in some ways. I mean, I feel like some of his items in the last game were definitely useful, but I look at the Wings lineup here, and I don't have tons of faith in the Venge right now because his early rotations weren't very successful, and the Tri-Lane itself led to him dying a few times. So I feel like Venge is playing more of a semi-carry role right now. I feel it's very heavily on the back of Shadow Fiend.
And it is reflected in his net worth. You can see he's less farm than the Clockwork, who has been farming a lot of Spiderlings, has a Midas and all that, but this is a very underfarmed relative to the other cores in the game, Vengeful Spirit.
Like with a Midas on clock, you've got good attack speed finally. It's got terrible agi gain, but turn this into something amazing. I think there's a real possibility that he could make something great out of this, if he doesn't die.
Yeah, speaking of that Clockwork, he turns around for a hook shot to try and do a bit of damage, but that was a big Spiderling army of Faith Beyonds coming in to bring him down.
That's the danger mode here. If you can't kill all of the spiders with like a hook shot rocket combo, then they will kill you.
He's queued up a Vanguard, so I think recognizing that's going to be the item that will help him survive what just killed him there.
It'll help. It doesn't have 100% block anymore, I believe. So it won't be necessarily as good against spiders, but they're going to run right into the Brood.
Yeah, they find him, and if they can get this kill, it is that prized takedown, but it doesn't look like they'll immediately get it. Nice Stone Gaze coming out will force Ice to run a direction he does not want to. Good news is Faith Beyond gets himself out of there. But Kaka has stolen Fissure now, so that is, of course, the prime steal as far as this game goes.
He's almost got Blink Dagger as well, too. So he's doing very, very well. Earthshaker, on the other hand, was doing all right, but now dead. 740 gold, so it's quite a ways away. I'm still not very sold on the Vanguard on Clockwork. It is good, I guess, against Vengeful Spirit amping everybody's damage. You can get some damage block to offset, but I feel like he'd be better served going at least something like a Force Staff first. It's one item that can give you some distance between yourself and the Brood, or somebody else if you're in trouble.
Yeah, well, like that scenario there, you force, then you pop the cogs, and he can't really chase you down if he's outside of that cogs.
Yeah, exactly.
But well, as it stands, we'll see the game. It does feel like this is much more slow paced. Both teams are going to be just picking up their core items, waiting to see what their opponents are doing. No one's looking to rush this game along.
I really like what Deuce's got for farm, though. Dragonlance immediately into a Scotty. Scotty's one of the best items in the game for Medusa for survivability, just because what she gets out of Mana Shield. And again, there's not that much single target damage coming out of the Radiant team.
Hook shot into the mid lane. They're going to get the Earthshaker once again. Potentially a Vengeful Spirit takedown if they can keep up with her KP. So going to get stunned up by the Magic Missile. The Grave will keep Shadow alive a little bit longer, but that means Y is now exposed. Shadow's TP out. It will complete. Just barely at the end there. The Battery Assault wearing off, and
Radiant's middle tower
it's
is under attack.
Pretty unfortunate.
Important escape for Wings. They do not want to lose the Venge, considering how underfarmed she already is.
Either way, that was still a really straightforward fight there for Newbee. Bloodlust on Medusa, he's doing tons of damage. I feel like they just run at their opponents, and their opponents can't really slow them down. Fissure obviously helps, but that's about the only thing that's going to make them good at fighting for now. Like, even a BKB on Shadow Fiend and an ultimate is kind of what they need to stop their opponents, but that's not going to provide a solution to Medusa.
I'm liking the Vanguard potential pickup a lot more for Clockwork now, because Brood has got a Deso, so right-click damage is really starting to ramp up, and I feel like this is going to be a good little answer to some of that single-target DPS.
It can definitely work. It's definitely good against minus armor. And that's really what Wings is trying to do here. They've got Shadow Fiend, they've got Broodmother, and they have Dazzle, and they have Avenge. That's 4 heroes that have minus armor. So they should be really strong if they're grouped together for the next 15 or so minutes, if Newbee doesn't react correctly in items.
Wings have just kind of snuck themselves into Roche. They have great vision to the north and east of the pit, and we can see that, dare I say it, Radiant side Roche advantage. Still feels weird saying that.
It helps taking the 2 towers, basically.
Yep.
And they've had wards up covering it for so long. Just a matter of time.
With that, we'll see if they try to make any more aggressive maneuvers forward. The Shadowblade pickup on SF gives him some surprise factor as far as being able to initiate, although it has, of course, been spotted by now.
You know, thinking about all this minus armor and how it matches against Newbee, it's actually terrible against Medusa. The way that Mana Shield works is, I got corrected by AUI about this the other day. It's basically like damage block. The damage you're taking, it damage blocks 60% of it and applies it to Mana Shield. And then the remaining 40% gets amplified or reduced by the armor that you have. So he's basically just ignoring armor. It's great.
Find out how tanky this Medusa is. The Echo Slam doesn't do anything too much yet, but now the Mana Shield wearing off an SCC will go down. Hasn't picked, or just picked up his Skadi, but Courier as well runs into trouble, and that's going to be a freebie for the Wing side. And with an Aegis, they are pushing forward. The Fissure will catch the Ogre. This should be a follow-up kill. The Gust is not going to save him, and suddenly one kill turns into two, turns into a potential third. They want to go into the high ground, but the Cogs from KP blocking the chase and will probably tempt Wings to actually take a T1 tower.
Everything just got out of control. I jinxed him.
And that was a nice little maneuver into that dire jungle. All this vision from the Radiant Observer wards giving them such great intel. And and I totally agree about Medusa being tanky and hard to kill, but when it's a 4v1 scenario like that, you definitely can kill that Medusa.
And they got a medallion as well. Like they actually have so much minus armor on the Radiant team right now. And it paid off there big time. The game looked so in control for Newbee, but a couple chain feeds more or less, and it's a bit more evened out. The net worths now are incredibly looking good for Wings.
Yeah, Earthshaker going to complete a Blink Dagger off of that, but gosh, looking at this net worth graph, it's still so close between the two teams. It's never been more than a 2,000 gold lead for either squad.
It's slightly inflated by Midas, but I think the Venge is still pretty underfarmed though. It looks like she's going for more of a hybrid build, going to pick up a Hood after her Dragon Lance.
How much pressure are you if you're Wings? Do you feel like this Brood is a hero that, I mean, traditionally it can kind of fall off? Is this a build that's going to fall off less? Do you need to be ending this game early if you're Wings?
I think that question mostly comes down to talent trees. That's the most new thing that's going on for Brood here. She's got 10 agi more than she used to. Historically, her agi gain was pretty mediocre. Her strength gain's better. I don't think her talents really make her that much better. Her 50 attack speed in the next level could be fantastic.
Yep.
But that level 25 talent really doesn't do that much more. More webs, I guess. You could control more of the map, but
I imagine you want to go for the webs over the spiders' health there.
Yeah, that was my thought as well.
I mean, you're doing way more damage than your spiders are once you're level 25 in the late game. And the way Brood's itemizing is she's going to be a right-click carry, so wants to be fighting under the webs as much as possible.
How do you like this Blink Dagger pickup, though? It's a bit interesting.
Getting on top of the Drow Ranger. It is a gap closer, but there's a Hurricane Pike on the Drow, so there will be some of these maneuvering items. I say that, but there's still just I want to say one at the moment. Dusa could theoretically upgrade the Dragon Lance. Still not seeing any kind of a 4-staff on Clockwork yet.
Lincoln's next for Dusa. I think that's a pretty good choice. Can stop swap.
Yeah.
Certainly the best thing that can.
That was where she got caught last fight. And if you're Venge, you're kind of happy to throw away your life if you're killing a Dusa in the process.
Yeah, definitely agree.
But now, yeah, we'll at least have that queued up.
Clockwork's still so farmed. I'm pretty sure he's just looking where, every time. Oh, Brood's got a group of spiders. I'll just shoot a rocket across the map. It hits, kills all the spiderites, the low HP ones, and he gets 80 gold. And he's got a Midas. I mean, he had Vanguard not too long ago. He's already 2,000 gold past that. I honestly think something expensive, like a real damage item, even something like a Radiance could be good.
Ice blinks himself into the trees. He's very close to Cuck on the Rubik. The Fish will catch out too. Securing a tier 1 tower. Ice will get himself forced out of there, back to safety, and Newbee can't really defend this because they are being kept busy by this top lane. Just a tier 1 tower for them, but every tower is going to add up. Once you start losing those tier 2s as well, that's where you'll lose your shrines and completely lose map control. So they need to make sure they get themselves in decent fighting position soon.
And once again, Clock is still sitting. He does finish the Crimson Guard though, gives him some nice base armor, and obviously the damage block for him and his allies. I don't think it shouldn't damage block the Shadow Wave, which has actually been a huge damage output for a lot of these fights, but at least the right clicks, it'll be good. Spiders too.
I mean, kind of just feels like Wings are just split pushing Newbee to death in some ways right now. Not just through split push, but also out farming them. You look at those top 2 net worth heroes. They're not really being dealt with by the Newbee side.
I think that's what they have to do though, just because of the build that Venge is going. I mean, she's catching up a bit now. Ops changes back, goes for a Yasha.
Almost caught Faith Beyond at the top lane. They put a double sentry down, and they even used a Rocket Flare and a stolen Venge Howl, which just expired. But couldn't quite find the catch as Faith Beyond tucks himself deep enough away. He walks back. Didn't get spotted by the sentry just yet.
I like that they're avoiding fights because I don't think they're strong enough. But, oh, they're going in.
Blink, Echo Slam, the Drow Ranger gets taken out to start the fight off.
Faith Beyond had so much damage there.
Yeah, that instant double hit from the Echo Saber.
His ulti gives him 120 damage.
And it's so nice because he's instantly on top of you with that Blink Dagger.
There's no time wasted, and it actually made a difference there.
That's a key kill. This Drow was already not doing too well in terms of overall farm. You kill her again, and you're constantly putting Newbee on the back foot.
I was definitely feeling better due to the fact that she went for the Maelstrom build. Going to go Ags next. Great against killing spiders. And it won't necessarily have to be just Dusa or the Clockwork dealing with it, but I mean, she is still very vulnerable, and the items she's going aren't going to make it any better. And all it takes is Earthshaker getting up there without their opponents knowing it. And that can happen every time Echo Slam's off cooldown. There's not going to be a good solution to that other than, yeah, just literally spotting the Earthshaker. That's pretty much the only way.
Well, and that's what Wings are getting out of their kind of full position, that big playmaking hero that can find kills like that. On the Newbee side, Rubik can make some plays, but he's not going to be able to find kills like that kind of just with one other teammate. Ogre is just kind of a bloodlusting machine. I feel like as this game goes on, Wings are going to get a bit more out of their supporting cast.
I would agree with that, but I still feel so much better about the cores on Newbee. Dusa as well as Drow. As long as Drow doesn't keep getting picked off like that, she will farm incredibly fast.
You worry about them kind of getting kited around the map though, because the split push from Wings is what's kind of dragging Newbee apart right now.
I don't think that matters too much. I mean, I think it's an issue because of Roshan control, but past that, because they have such good AoE, they're going to farm their half of the map incredibly fast. And Wings just doesn't feel super comfortable taking a 5v5 just yet.
Wings going to make their next move. They've smoked up 4 heroes heading towards the Broodmother, perhaps looking to bait with Faith Beyond. Hook shot, not going to find the Brood.
It's going to be on cooldown here if Wings can take an engagement.
Oh, Wings, can they get the jump? The Blink Dagger was broken by the Rocket player. It's going to be a swap onto the Ogre. Not the ideal target, but the Vengeance catches out the Drow Ranger, and the Stone Gaze can't really amount to all too much because of that Vision blocking them in, and we'll see the SF just scurry himself away. He's got a haste rune, and he's thinking about chasing for more, but Newbee have already reassembled onto the high ground.
Faith Beyond thinking about going in. Doesn't take a lot of hits to kill somebody, and there's a fast gem here on the Rubik. That was very dangerous for them. They only lost to Ogre Magi, not a huge loss here, considering, but they can't lose this gem, not after they bought it.
You know, ideally, you're looking for one of the prime carries with that swap, but that was all Wings could see, and they're probably deciding at that point, look, we use this smoke, let's just take what kills we can.
Well, the Force Staff really helped as well. I thought Venge could go down, but Shadow Fiend picking up the Hurricane Pike, so he's not really hitting too hard just yet. Has focused entirely on damage skills here. But we'll see where his itemization goes after this, because he does have to really start thinking about being able to outcarry against Medusa.
Yeah. Going for the extra damage per souls, the health, the attack speed. And final talent tree, you think he gets the extra attack range or the minus Shadow Rays cooldown?
I think almost every single Shadow Fiend gets the attack range, especially because he's already got the Hurricane Pike. He could basically just set low ground and hit towers. So if they ever get advantage, it'd be great.
I mean, Raze has a cast time. You'd rather be right-clicking than using Raze, even when Raze has a 3-second cooldown. As great as that sounds, 3-second cooldown Shadow Raze, that's awesome.
Sounds really good for support Shadow Fiend, which should never happen.
Okay, so I'll be playing that in my next pub game. Thanks, Burge.
You actually would, knowing you.
I actually played a support Shadow Fiend just a couple weeks ago, so.
Yeah, that's disgusting. We're looking for Broodmother with the gem here. Lincoln's is up on Dusa as well. She is really hard to kill. And she picks up the 10% evasion. I like the choice. Not a huge amount, but could really add up over the course of the game. Oh, they find Venge.
Can they get the kill, though? The immediate pull in by the telekinesis, and the Stone Gaze is going to prevent anyone from coming in to help. The Venge is very tanky, though. Still has a Manta Style. Shadow will finally pop it here, but he's getting multicast up the grave. Going to keep him alive to the side. The Brood was on the Carcass. Rubik with the swap out. Echo Slam from my side. He's gone in. He wants the Medusa. Medusa is getting brought down by the Shadow Fiend with the BKB. It's Bleak tearing apart the Newbee lines. Faith is looking to scurry himself out of that. Unai barely TPs himself home, and Faith, he'd be found.
What a great defense there.
Possibly for KP. Doesn't have a good answer for the Brood. No force stuff. It cogs in a couple of seconds, but he needs to get further away, and he's not going to get a chance to do so.
That mobility from the Brood there. Nobody's getting away, and 4 dead heroes now for Newbee. Their initiation was very botched, but they were not expecting to find Avenge at the worst place there, where she was going high ground. And even when they were trying to kill the Venge, attacking uphill against somebody that had a lot of armor, and ultimately the Echo Slam on 3 heroes just guaranteed turns the momentum around.
The Venge, one of the heroes that just gets very tanky through his stats. +8 all stats at level 15. Is sitting on 2.3k HP with Strength Threats, Manta Style, Dragon Lance. All of this survivability adding up there, and made her a hard takedown.
And then when things got really bad, just swap in somebody else.
Yeah.
No big deal. They're looking great on Wings' side.
They'll take themselves another Roche. This Aegis looks to be going the way of Blink, and nothing Newbee can do about this one. They really just got to sit back and try and ride it out, get to that late game you talked about where they've got that Aghanims plus Maelstrom on the Drow Ranger. They've got the Medusa with another item or two.
I think the Medusa, she needs more damage right now. I think that was pretty clear from that fight. She had great utility. She stayed alive a very long time, but there wasn't enough DPS output. Bloodlust helps. I'm thinking about Manta Style. I know some people are going to flame me for it, but it's a better item for illusions now because it gives attack speed. Attack speed does benefit your illusions. They get split shot. There are some anti-AoE things like Earthshaker, but that's about it. There isn't that much. I feel like you can remove some disables, overall output more damage. Like Butterfly will also work, but it's still more attack speed.
Okay. Well, as it stands, Drow getting closer and closer to that Axe, just 300 gold away. Again, we see the same perhaps problem with Newbee's lamp scaling though. It's very much all physical damage, and it does feel like that's something which Wings can itemize against. They've got the casual buckler on Dazzle, they've got the Solar Crest, they've got Weave itself. The armor on the entire Wings lineup is going to get pretty massive right now.
What if you bought like Mjolnir instead on Dusa?
I quite like that idea actually. You mentioned damage. Maybe that is one of the better answers for it. Right now with the BKBs, it's not great because these are still like 9-10 second BKBs. Broods is 10 seconds, SF is 9 seconds, so it may take a couple of fights before you really see it be high value, but...
She's going to get hit a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Just the reflection can be great. And she also does have a lot of int, which ups her spell damage and ultimately makes the Mjolnir just a bit better.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Hasn't
attack.
got much money to buy anything right now, and they'll watch Wings take the last tier 2 tower, which means time to take out some of those shrines.
So looks like Drow finishes her Axe finally. So this is going to help the damage. I guess it doesn't have to be the Dusa. She could just be focused on tankiness, let the Drow sit in the back and try to make up for that lacking there. And Axe is a great way to do it. The split shot you can cast. Actually, you can't. It's probably not as good on Drow now because I believe Maelstrom has a cooldown of like 0.2 seconds, and she certainly has enough attacks that it will limit that a bit. But with the MKB purchase immediately after this, I don't know if you've tried that before. It's fantastic. Just mini stun multiple teams. You won't have to worry about missing uphill, I believe.
And the Brood passive as well, the incapacitating.
That's a great point. Yeah, what 60% miss chance as soon as he slaps somebody. That's something that either the Drow or the Dusa can't handle at all.
And even if you gust the Brood back once she like blinks on you, you've still got 2 seconds where you've got that miss chance, which you don't want to have to deal with. So
yeah, the timing is very crucial. They have to go in and they have to kill somebody towards the start of the fight or while they're using Dusa ulti. Because if they don't, then there's going to be fissures, there's going to be echo slams, there's going to be swaps. They have annoying things to deal with.
Newbee perhaps going to be put under a bit of pressure here. The Aegis still, there's extra duration left on it.
Invisibility.
But with the 2 minutes left, doesn't seem like Wings are going to group up right away by any means.
So it looks like Clock's going to do Ags next. Pretty standard stuff.
Oh, Drow spotted in the bottom lane. Ice Ice, Blink, Echo Slam. Going to chain stun this. Try and buy some time for the Shadow Fiend to rock up. Unine going for the TP out. Is the damage going to be there? Shadow Fiend barely gets the kill.
It worked. I thought he was going to go for the right clicks, but the raises did a ton of damage there. Cleaned him up. That was a big kill. 50 seconds left now for Drow to come alive.
Oh, the swap back. That range. Faith gets brought down, and they're just getting picked apart one by one, and with 2 dead, that's a lot of Medusa's damage taken away by Drow being dead. This, well, any lane could be very exposed at this point. It looks like mid lane is where Wings are going to be grouping up. As 5, the creep wave is coming along soon. They preemptively weave for the high ground push, and Clockwork is going to have to be the one probably buying time with Cogs and Hookshot on the high ground for some of these respawns.
Well, he's got the Ags at least, so he can do it a couple times, but swaps up off cooldown very soon.
Shaker blinks in. The Cogs is there, going to push them back with the Stone Gaze, and looks like that's going to be enough to repel this wave push.
Which is fine, because they've got 12 seconds here for Drow.
They're
Although
going back
swap
in.
in 3, swap in 3.
Oh, can Shadow get anyone here? The Lincolns was popped. They get some additional damage and force out a glyph there. And now they're going to go in for another hook shot, just trying to push him back using the Cogs, burn his HP and mana. Even though he's got an Aegis, they will still focus that Shadow Fiend to try to get him off the high ground. So the T3 tower gets protected. Did cost them a glyph, but buying time again. They didn't have a Drow, and they also have to fight into the Aegis. So
We'll see if they leave their base here. They might just wait for Clockwork Vision and then go for something, but Against the Aegis, it's so difficult. But at least Blink is about half HP right now. Doesn't yet have a ton of sustain.
We'll be regenning soon once that Aegis expires in about 10 seconds time. Maybe someone they could theoretically jump at a good time, but there is a great swap back from Shadow. They've got Medusa, but the 4-star back home. Faith Beyond's got him with a BKB, but SCC trying to slow him down with that Skadi. Shadow getting very low himself. There goes in the SF with a Requiem, lowering some of the damage with that minus physical, but Medusa on the front lines trying to hold her own, doing so pretty well, and KP gets another hook shot off. The control coming out from him, he won't catch the Shadow Fiend inside, but they'll blink after. Kaka wants more, he wants this Shadow Fiend, can he get it? He's going to get almost 3-shotted, but the Ghost Scepter keeps him alive. The 4-star up, SF gets pulled back in, they're going to bring down Blink. U9 gets a double kill on the Drow Ranger, the hook shot, it's back up, KP's caught another. 4 down, Brood the lone survivor, and what a hold.
The amount of time that KP bought in that siege was insane. 2 dead heroes for 20 seconds, and he got them to hold it off.
Look at that Drow Ranger damage done. 6.5k damage done through the Aghanims and Maelstrom.
That's an item that is genuinely very undervalued by pro players, but it's times like these where going a carry Drow build can absolutely give you value.
Not only did KP get 3 hooks off, he actually did the second most damage in that team fight. 3 points.
Yeah.
He did more than half the damage of the Drow, and Drow did a lot.
I'm not surprised in the slightest. Hookshot's so good for just forcing. It made it so difficult for Wings to actually retreat, you know? Every time they backed off Hookshot into power cogs, it's like 3 seconds of disable every single time.
Well, Newbee finding perhaps their second legs here, as that was the first real good team fight we've seen from them in some time. And they're going to look to claim this bottom tier 2 tower as a result. Still a lot of tier 2 towers up, so they won't be able to take out any of these shrines anytime soon. A lot of access points on the map available for the Wing squad still.
Those shrines and base made a huge difference for Medusa as well, just because it gives her HP and mana, which is more HP. She just sat there and fought it and worked out just fine. A little surprised she went for 500 mana here versus 15 Agi. I know the 15 Agi definitely has a much higher win rate in pubs, but you know, very different pro game here. It's 2 armor, 15 damage, 15 attack speed. I think he's made a small mistake here, but we'll see.
Any other big talents stand out to you as far as things coming up or things that have been picked up?
Not particularly. Pretty standard stuff around. I mean, there's really not that many levels so far.
Yeah. The Brood's 25 coming up, but again, neither of those is going to be massively game-changing. The extra webs could be kind of nice, but
I'll be interested to see what he gets, but I'm not going to be too surprised either way. Venge picking up the 50 damage, very, very good skill, obviously, for carry heroes. You know, Venge carry doesn't get played that much, so it's still a little overbuffed. The 20% Vengeance Aura damage is actually huge on Venge when she gets that. Since she does have a lot of Agi items, it'll really amp up her damage and really help Shadow Fiend as well, since he's building similar.
And this Venge is hitting hard and tanking a lot of damage. 2.5k HP, SF, similar story. Going to be going for, it looks like an Assault Chris queued up next.
On which hero, the Shadow Fiend?
In Shadow Fiend, yeah.
Okay. I don't even know if that's the right choice. I feel like I want him to get something heavy hitter. Like even a Monkey King Bar or a Daedalus might be better, I feel.
When considering Brood's got a butterfly, they're killing that. Brood, or the Medusa's got a butterfly.
Yeah, that's a great point. Another reason to grab it.
Hook shot in. It's going to be a Blink Echo Slam. Ice Ice going on a Rubik here of all heroes. Not sure this is going to work out too well. Not with the Ghost Scepter. Now they're going to turn it around, focus their efforts on this Shaker. He will finish off the kill thanks to the Grave. Well, I guess that works out okay, but there's going to be a gem. Oh, someone pick up that gem. Hello. Ogre comes in.
Okay, they got it.
And they'll recover the Rubik's gem.
I'm just not completely sold on the AC. It'll be very good team-wise because they are very much about right-clicking and minus armor, but we'll see if it works out. I just don't see him going toe-to-toe with the Medusa at some point. It's not going to happen.
It does feel like, again, they're just saying, like much like last game, it's all physical damage. Let's just tank up, get lots of stats, gets lots of armor.
But it's not like that anymore. You know, he's got Ags with Maelstrom, and now he's got a Monkey King Bar. It does 160 magic damage. Look at him just clear this creep wave. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same page as you as far as the magic damage coming out of U9. You'll be happy to see Medusa is perhaps going for Manta style next. Has got it queued up. So
it's definitely worth it, especially against Orchid stuff too. It's a lot of damage output, it really is.
Well, after that last fight, do you think that kind of evens things up, or is one team in a...
Yeah, game feels even to me at least.
Yeah.
I feel like Newbee can get more control on the map. I feel Brood is certainly falling off. His skills are not as good at these super late game scenarios. Part of the reason is late game win rate's kind of weak. And especially with Clockwork being as stupidly farmed as he has control of this map now.
It does still feel like in a sense, like it's a big, not just even, but a stalemate. Like neither team can really push the shrines for the high ground defense, just not to mention the buyback advantage when you're defending high ground as well. So it does feel like neither team can try and make any kind of a big push, but what you can do, I guess, is make these kind of smoke maneuvers.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple times. Newbee keeps running into single heroes, and they want to keep doing that.
I don't know how well this is going to work. The Medusa gets spotted by a Radiant Observer Ward, and running this way by yourself as a Medusa, very unlikely. Yeah, and Rubik, his smoke gets popped, won't find anyone. Gets the high ground Observer Ward for some added vision.
They will get this other obs. It's something that they need to take care of. Couple on the map here for the Radiant team, and they're going to smoke in return.
Ooh.
I don't think they actually wanted to fight there.
KP was fishing with that hook shot. May have been a good catch if he got the Brood, but Roche's respawn nice and fast, and Wings looking to get a pick off to perhaps put them in a position to get the Aegis and Cheese this time around. KP
so
gets swapped in, immediate Shivers Guard, he gets bursted down nice and fast to the fight, or does he? The last right click will bring him down, the Stone Gaze will break down the Brood, their Blink Echo Slam almost takes out U9, they will in the end. Ice is low, he's looking for another stun, he needs to control this Medusa, it's the lone problem left in the fight, but with the Drow buyback, this fight could turn back Newbee's way. SCC is looking to focus on Shadow, not doing all too much damage here.
Here comes.
Oh, here comes Drow with the Drow's re-emergence. I think this is perhaps time for Wings to back off, but they want to hold their ground. Why is this looking to cover the retreat here? Another stun coming out. Shadow blocks it with the Lincoln Sphere, and Medusa still in good fighting shape, and SF is stuck on the high ground now, pulled back in. Don't see a good way out for him, as he will be brought down. 100 seconds on the sidelines. Drow had to buy back, but well worth it.
It was just amazing how hard it was for them to kill SCC. Not only does he just not take a lot of damage from minus armor, but he's also got a butterfly and that extra 10% evasion perk. He's got a 25 lifesteal.
Are they contesting Roche with 3 heroes here? This does not seem wise, and look at the Brood almost melting to that Aghanim Scepter. They get Karka in the end with a fissure here. They take out one. They really don't want to let Newbee get the Aegis this time around. They have no SF, no buyback.
Shadow spotting out the Ogre Magi as well. I think they can still take this here.
Bench brought back for this, and right now it feels like, oh, hook shot, KP wants in, and he's going to catch up to the Earthshaker with the Shivers slow. He's going to stop him casting any spells, and this should secure them the Roche. Another hook shot will be coming up in a couple of seconds, so KP will want more.
KP's just going crazy this game, man. All those spiders.
Even last game in their loss, his Clockwork was perhaps the shining star of the Newbee squad.
I completely agree. Mjolnir on the way now for Drow Ranger. It's just going to get a little bit worse now for Wings. And the best part is she hasn't even bought a BKB yet, so if she does end up buying it in these late game scenarios, 10 seconds is an incredible amount of time. Like, the only reason that Wings won that first fight, Brood jumped directly on the Drow, did a ton of damage with the Bloodthorn, and they committed an Echo Slam to kill her.
They may actually attempt the high ground here. They've got a Cheese on Medusa, who will not only get the HP, but refill your mana with it. Drow Ranger with an Aegis means you don't have to worry as much about her buyback status. But first,
farm.
First farm. I was thinking they might go for the shrines, but they've actually got a tier 2 tower still full HP at the top lane, so you cannot get those shrines in.
I think they just wait, give the Drow Ranger 600 gold, let her finish the Mjolnir. It'll be a huge difference in terms of amount of magic bounce damage, and then go take the next fight. As long as they don't get too clumped up on an Echo Slam, I think they certainly have an advantage. They also still have to be very mindful of Venge Swap. That's been really impactful in a lot of fights. And
they are going to take that more systematic approach. Take out all the outer towers, probably take out the shrines before they attempt high ground. I mean, high ground is such a big difference going for high ground versus a tier 2 tower when the new shrines are there for that high ground defense. And there's not really any incentive for Wings to try and defend into an Aegis Cheese right now.
Maybe there's some way that they can try to keep the Drow Ranger killed twice to reduce the precision aura. That's maybe one big advantage they can get, but now that the tier 2s are dead, the shrines are gone too. The game is looking really even though I would say Newbee has an advantage right now.
Yeah. And we'll see how much they want to make a go at that high ground with the slight advantage they have. Does feel like one lost fight going for a high ground push, and the game will just swing right back Wings' way. So
yeah, really can.
MKB now queued up by the S. It feels like, yeah, this AC pickup, you kind of mentioned it, may have been the wrong decision, considering how survivable SEC was in that last fight, and MKB Could have made a world of difference.
In a lot of ways, I think the BKB on the SF was also a mistake. Hurricane Pike, Shadow Blade, and BKB, that's like 3 semi-utility items. And at that point, you're not hitting very hard. And you have to be concerned about that against a Medusa, and especially against a Drow Ranger. That goes damage, because she will out-DPS you. And that's what was happening in the last couple of fights. Shadow Fiend's fighting, but he just wasn't doing that much. He's survivable, but you have to kill your opponents at some point.
And the crazy thing now with this level 25 Dusa, you're even tankier because of that 25% lifesteal.
That's a lot of lifesteal.
Yeah, no joke. Drow Ranger about to hit that level 25.
It's basically a free item, 25% lifesteal on Medusa. That's some of those perks, man. It's like playing Lone Druid.
You're a fan of the agility on the Drow Ranger at level 25 or the knockback?
It definitely has the higher win rate in pubs. Especially, you got to remember, it also gives more damage to his allies because of precision aura.
Yep.
And if your enemies get close, you lose half of it. But I think that's better than the Gust knockback in this case. Although against the Broodmother, could be fantastic if Brood's BKB is down.
We'll find out in a little bit what that's going to be. Clockwork, his level 25 could come up. The battery assault duration is what I'm looking at there. He's got a lot of HP as it is, but like almost perma battery assault could be pretty damn nice.
Yeah, it could be good. I think I'd prefer health here, personally, but
Health is boring, Purge.
yeah, well, some people play
Winning
games with
games.
more than 900 HP.
Yeah.
Sometimes damage items aren't the best choice.
No. So it looks like even with Aegis and Cheese, Newbee have their hearts set on continuing to farm, getting those level 25 talents, getting those next couple of items, and waiting for Wings to make a move. It's still that big stalemate where neither team can truly push up their opponent's team's high ground. No one has a big enough advantage to try and make any kind of forceful moves.
Yeah, I mean, Newbee's going to want to take a fight on even ground against Wings. Wings is going to want to take an advantageous fight, I feel. They're just so tough for them to grab the Dusa kill, especially against Cheese. They don't want to do it against until Aegis is gone as well. But it's just becoming more and more farm for Newbee here.
And I think they're recognizing some of these heroes, specifically the Brood, are just not going to scale all too well. The Venge is... how do you rate Venge as far as like this game going 60, 70 minutes and Venge's ability to itemize and be played in that kind of late game scenario?
She's certainly not the best late game carry, especially. She's gone a couple utility items, so I think she's made decent choices, though. MKB's the next pickup, I believe. I'm not seeing it on the courier, though, so I'm a little... Did we have a buyback on her recently? I thought she would have more farm.
She did buy back at the Roche fight.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's right.
Right after.
Yeah, so now she's even farther behind. But even an MKB is not the best item for her. She's very agi-based. Her attack range is weak.
Speaking of, like, I mean, like ultra late game, this is a pretty good game for a Rubik as far as spells to steal, and we're talking Aghanim Scepter Rubik soon if he wants to spend his money on it.
Yeah, it'd be good.
A lot of
Enchant Totem? Won't stun, but he'll jump around.
or more like the Requiem or like Venge Swap could be pretty damn nice.
There's a lot of great skills. Or you could just use it to break Lincolns, and then wait 2 seconds and cast an actual spell. Like,
None of the Brood spells. Don't be using it around him.
Spawn Web? Spin Web?
You lose. I guess you lose the webs once you get a new spell, or
I believe so, yeah. That'd be way too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Brood also kind of having the same issue as the Shadow Fiend slightly. A lot of mid-tier items ends up being a big downer on the 40 to 50 mark versus somebody that buys expensive items like Medusa or the Drow Ranger here. We've got a sell here on Dusa. Looks like she sold the Dragon Lance. Not going to go for the upgrade. I think that's fine. Oh, she made a huge mistake just now.
The double boots of travel buy.
And she sold one of them.
I guess at that point you have to. Probably looking for like the level 2 travels and accidentally bought a second pair of travels.
It's possible, I suppose. She had one in her backpack, and then she had one delivered by the courier. So, that's a lot of lost gold. 1,200, I believe.
Yep.
Whatever, just hit more creeps, right?
That's the thing. If Newbee want, they know Wings are only going to come to them like by some kind of like sneaky 5-man smoke maneuver. They're not going to just try and run at them and try push a buildings. So
maybe she didn't sell Dragon Lance. I'm not sure what she sold the first one, but maybe phase boots or something.
Yeah, she used to have the. I saw the double boots of travel, definitely.
I think she sold phase boots and had 2 boots of travel.
Yeah,
pretty sure, something like that, or maybe it was blades of attack. I'm not sure. Either way, still 1,200 gold absolutely can make an impact. Could be a buyback here or there. She already does have Moonshard, so she's just about maxed out, just waiting to replace her cheese. I guess she could replace Dragonite. She's still got so much farm to go, really.
I hear hook shots and that's just like, I'm like, where am I missing?
He's just bored, I think.
Yeah. Farming.
Maybe there's a Brood in the trees.
Is this where you get the late game Octarine core on your clockwork?
Is that the build?
I don't know. I like Octarine for the old. You've got 4 spells as well as a couple different items that get the reduced cooldown.
Midas reduced cooldown?
Well, lesser than Midas, perhaps.
I mean, he might as well buy something really beefy. I've been saying that all game. He's gone very, very conservative, but at this stage,
Heart of
he's
Tarrasque
so safe.
items, I don't.
Really?
I don't know. When you say really beefy, what do you mean by?
I mean something like weird that you never see on Clockwork, like
Mjolnir.
Hex or
Hex,
Mjolnir or Radiance or something like that.
Hex could actually be a good way to gank some of these, or the BKB carries, like the SF, the Brood. If you want to try and initiate on them and you get a hook shot, you want to have a Hex to follow it up, perhaps.
With that said, I feel like they don't need instant disable too much. I mean, obviously the BKBs are a huge threat, but I feel like that's not really how the fights are going. And plus, with Ags, you already have a 12-second BKB piercing stun. So do you really need a Hex too bad on clock? It can be fantastic in some situations, but these guys are so tanky that even if you disable them pre-BKB, killing them before their allies force or swap them is tough.
Yep.
So I think he just goes something more utility-based. Not sure what, though.
We'll find out in due time, perhaps, if this game continues to extend into the late game, as it does feel it will. Moment to breathe here as the players look to resolve some of their issues and see. God, the players just sweating in their chairs. These guys are.
It's an intense game. I mean, it's still. I mean, it looks like Newbee has an advantage here, but it still absolutely comes down to how the team fights are executed.
See the commands being laid down by the Newbee side about how they want to approach this game, perhaps. And strategically, I mean, is there much, like for Newbee, like right now they're no longer playing with the Aegis and Cheese. Is Roche going to be a big deciding thing as far as like we get an Aegis, then we can try and push, or are they looking to make some other kind of a play?
Yeah, I feel like it puts them into this insane, powerful position because of the fact that their heroes have a great mix of damage and tankiness, whereas Wings is mostly utility and tank. They don't have enough damage to offset it. So if you're only having like large amounts of damage but not extreme, then having to kill somebody twice or then popping a cheese during the fight is like fight losing for sure. So I think that's definitely going to be the big aspect here. Wings has to make sure that Newbee doesn't get the Roche, or they punish them heavily while doing it.
And the nice thing with the backpack is you can like put your boots or something in your backpack and still have the Aegis or Cheese even when you're kind of 6-slotted. Someone like STC can just replace as needed when he respawns. But looks like we'll perhaps be getting ourselves back underway soon. The headsets, well, some of them coming back on, not all.
The Drow did go for the Gust knockback, by the way.
Ah.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a terrible choice. I mean, he's not all about Agi this game. It's really about the Ags effects. So
It's you like added utility over added damage at this point.
yeah, and going into super late stages of the game, pushing somebody almost a 4-staff away from you could easily be better.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, it's like whether you do like 500 damage or 530 damage, it's like...
Yeah, does it really matter? Although I would say that if somebody jumps on him and he only wants to silence them, it's now bad because it's like a genuinely 4-staffing them away from you.
Yep. Okay.
It's got lots of solutions for that Hurricane Pike and the Gust now. So I would like to... It looks like Brood is queuing up a Abyssal Blade. I think this is a great choice. Maybe what he should have built instead of the Bloodthorn, perhaps, just because Echo Saber plus Abyssal, great option.
Doesn't feel like he's gotten much value out of the Bloodthorn so far this game.
Yeah, it worked that one time against the Drow Ranger. That was a great fight, but super late game situations. I mean, they do need it against Medusa, I suppose. It could be their evasion solution, but they all still have to go through Lincoln Sphere. And I mean, he's got the cooldown perk. 20% cooldown reduction puts us at 8.8 seconds. That's a really good timing for an item. That's like a skill in terms of downtime.
Affecting his BKB as well, so.
And his Echo Saber, dude. 4-second cooldown Echo Saber.
It's pretty nice. He's going for, yeah, four active items here. Or 5, actually. What am I saying? Phase boost, of course.
Yeah, that'll make the difference, the phase.
That's 6.4 second cooldown phase boost.
He did go for 8 max webs, by the way. If nobody noticed the infestation on the map.
Yeah, this map is covered.
It's a pretty nice advantage to have, really. I mean, because he could hypothetically run around there against Newbee, break smokes, blink away, possibly escape. I feel like we haven't seen Newbee feel very comfortable getting close to the racks. And And for that reason, while the Brood hasn't been very useful, at the least they don't get to do easy siege stuff. The Venge prevents that, as does the webs here, I think.
Okay, well, a big thanks to the amazing Malaysian crowd we've had out here at ESL One Genting. You guys have been very patient throughout these 3 days as well. I've got to witness some amazing Dota. I believe we're going to take a look at some of the replays from the previous fight to see what went down to kind of recap. This is the Venge one, so walk us through what kind of went wrong here for Newbee.
The fissure separating the heroes on the right was great. The Drow Ranger as well from the low ground having a lot of trouble killing him. There's clearly tons of misses there. And then the swap out with Kaka and the Echo Slam. Just beautiful.
It was. I mean, the SF didn't even get too close to anyone for the Requiem, but managed just to hit at least enough and was in a position where he could just get the right-click damage out. It's one of the few fights, or at least that, well, this was quite some time ago, where Newbee were really put on the back foot and split apart.
Mm-hmm. And it all came down to the fact that Venge, the person they initiated on, and used all their skills. They even missed the hook shot. Initiating that was definitely very impactful as well, because it took way too long for them to actually blow up the Venge.
Yeah.
This fight was crazy.
Yeah, this was the high ground push. This is where, I mean, I got to go back to KP. He was so good on this clockwork, constant hook shots. He got 3-4 hook shots off on this high ground defense. He bought time. The big thing was at the start of this fight, Drow Ranger was dead, so they had to buy time, but buy time they did. And Wings perhaps diving in a bit too deep in hindsight, would you say? Or
yeah, I mean, the Dusa looked really low. Her mana was a little bit lower than 30% or so. Her HP was low, but once she grabbed that shrine, that probably gave her a good 1,000, 1,500 HP survivability once you do the math. It was really impactful. They weren't able to kill her, and she turned things around.
And that's still, it must be something where players and teams just still haven't fully adjusted and respecting the power of those shrines.
Especially for Medusa. It's maybe the best hero in the game for shrine abuse, for defensive situations. She's not very mobile. She can definitely punish you if you overextend. And just extra value. I really do feel the Mana Shield has been instrumental against this lineup. It hasn't felt like a max minus armor game. It really hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, from both sides, we're kind of getting far enough back in the late game that everyone is just very survivable, has the stats. We saw it earlier with the Venge. Since that point, I mean, is it just that Newbee have kind of caught up in terms of items? Do you feel that the fights are swinging back more their way? Or have they actually approached the fights differently from then?
I think it's genuinely just itemization advantage, honestly. The Drow going for Maelstrom as well as Ags made a big impact. Her damage output has been great. Medusa's been entirely focused on tankiness, which initially I criticized, but once Drow covered that base, tankiness was the way to go. And then on the Radiant side, they kept investing in minus armor, but again, the way that Mana Shield works is it just takes that damage off the top, even before you get to amplify it by all the minus armor. It makes it so much less valuable. So all of these like tanky hybrid damage builds that they went on Wings' side, it probably should have just been hard damage, or maybe even something a little bit more cheesy that could drain mana or deal with the Dusa better.
The Ags on Drow really feels like the turning point in some ways.
Yeah,
that was,
absolutely.
Until that Ags came up, that was, the first fight after that was suddenly won by Newbee with a massive amount, like the 6.5k damage of that Drow Ranger. The clockwork hitting multiple hook shots, so...
I feel like it's just such a scary item to get for a lot of pro players because they think, if I just get a BKB and we win team fights, we win the game, right? But if you buy Ags, then you're vulnerable to pretty much everything. You're vulnerable to Orchid, you're vulnerable to gap closers, you're vulnerable to swap. Like, there's just not a lot of good solutions if you get put in a bad spot, but the damage output increase and the way that it opens your itemization to be more effective is just incredible. It's already giving you double damage, essentially, because I believe the split hits do 50% or something of your initial attack, so you're getting double damage already, even though it's splitting, and then you get multiple orb effects, so it's like those items are becoming better. It's a damage accelerant, and whenever I see it picked up, it's really incredible how much damage it does.
Yeah. Does Drow probably needs to become like the #1 priority for focus in these fights, or I mean, Medusa, you kind of have to ignore to some extent with how tanky she is. But
I would actually agree, yeah, because she's also amplifying what Dusa does, and Dusa did go very tank heavy, so kill her at the start. That could be a great way to start the fight. Especially, she doesn't have BOTs just yet. She's got them queued up, but if she has to buy back and try to come back in the fight, she won't be able to get there instantly. So killing the Drow could be great. But Clockwork's been making so much space this game. It's very difficult for Wings to actually get to where they need to and actually blow up the Drow Ranger.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we will be hopefully getting ourselves back in soon. Kaka has reconnected, so perhaps
Fingers crossed.
So Newbee, they are in position here around the Roshan pit, which won't be respawning for some time, but they do have a double damage rune right by them waiting. So perhaps looking to make some kind of a play happen.
Oh, they're going to give it a shot.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
We'll get things back underway. Here we go, Malaysia. It's game 3, 50 minutes in. Things very even between these two top Chinese Dota 2 squads.
My damage redoubled.
For those of us joining us from
And do welcome back everyone here in the live audience, as we'll see, as well as those of you watching online and Twitch TV. But it is Wings slightly on the back foot. They've lost a lot of map control now, losing all their tier 2 towers and shrines, and Newbee are the ones who have won these last couple of team fights to put themselves back in this game, ahead overall on net worth, and looking to perhaps set themselves up to take this next Roshan and even go for a smoke maneuver here. Something I'd really like to see Wings start doing a bit more is using Spiderlings to scout. I feel like that's something like Ice is someone who I always think of, and he uses his summons really well in the late game just for vision and information. It doesn't matter if you feed some Spiderlings. If you scout heroes, great.
You can even do some patrol stuff as well if you're trying to spot for smokes.
He's got a couple of them around the Roshan pit.
He literally read your mind, just or he speaks English, I'm not sure. And he's not wearing his headset. Oh, they're going to grab him, though.
Oh, have they got the catch? It's going to be a quick scurry away.
He hooked. Did you see that?
Oh, the Spiderling on the cliff.
Yeah. He cliffed himself. He actually can't get down. Who's got a force?
There's one of the Drow. Oh, the Drow's got the Hurricane Pike.
Is that the only one? Or he could just...
He could hook a teammate.
His allies are really good at juking, man.
He blinks out. Swing, better.
They're going to try to pursue this.
They want to contest that roast, like you said. You feel like they have to contest this one, and Wings totally agree.
Good timing. The weave is huge.
Rubik,
oh, they're going to spot him.
Find him. Oh, the lift immediately from the Rubik. He may get himself out of this one. No chance for that. They lose the gem in the process as well. Now dealing with the Brood gets it. Will they swap in KP? That blink out. KP back to safety. Things reset. Rubik does not have a buyback. That's a big teamfight presence being missed, considering the amount of items on this Rubik.
And a bit of a gem loss as well. He wasn't reacting either. He does actually have a gem, but...
He got an immediate lift.
Oh, that's right.
He didn't blink away. Now the hook shot. Okay, blink on the right side of the fissure. Well, the left side, but it ended up being the right one to be on to save his life. As Ice was also there for a defensive maneuvers if needed.
Cool build here. Venge picking up a Vlad's. You may think this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but it's based on his base damage and his agi. He's got a lot of agi, so just standing near heroes, Venge is going to be, especially at level 25, giving 60% damage amp to his team.
Are you worried that it's being picked up on a core hero that's meant to scale more towards the late game?
I'm not super concerned on it, to be honest, because who else is going to be in the battle that close that has item slots? Like, Venge has gone so many expensive items already that she's got the space for this. I think this is okay. I maybe would like to... Yeah, she's going to go Mjolnir next. She needed another damage item, surely. And that'll be a great one. Her attack speed's fantastic right now.
And a big shout out to Malaysia. We're currently broadcasting live on Malaysia's NTV7 and on Malaysia's first and largest homegrown streaming service, Tonton. Esports history being made, Purge.
And here we are doing it.
Let's not fuck up. Newbee. Again, posturing around the Roshan pit is now respawned.
They're looking for the swap.
Oh, blinking Ice. What are you thinking here? He swaps him back in, but he's going to BKB on the Medusa. Trying to get them in the stone gates. The Cogs pushes the SF back. He walks in front of the SF. He's trying to get away from the stone gates. He can't. Grave onto the Oshik. It keeps him alive, but who's going to keep Blink alive? He tries to pike for the high ground. Doesn't make it. As he tries to now reset the fight, it's still a Brood caught in the front line, turns around with the BKB, silences up SCC. SCC has a cheese still. I don't think this is a target you want to go on. U9. Now going to go Blink. Echo, he immediately pays for it with his life, though. U9 on the back foot. Drow is dead with buyback. Doesn't want to use it right away. SF lifted up. Is the target of the Medusa. The Grave is there. He might just want to turn and fight. SF doing what damage he can before he dies. Rubik steals the Requiem, unleashes it, and takes down a couple more
They're
of
still
the Wings
fighting.
unit.
Buybacks all over the place.
Yay. Roche still standing as well. Both teams will be eyeing that one off. Medusa goes into the pit. She does have buyback.
That's the prize they won, and that's why they're gambling on this. If there is a dieback here by Drow Ranger, it is going to be an Aegis towards the Radiant team, but it looks like Wings is feeling less comfortable with this. than Newbee is.
Another hook shot attempt, KP wants in. Throws the cogs, he's actually out of mana at this point, so a lot more limited in what he can do if this fight continues to draw out. They want to go on the Shaker, who's got a Ghost Scepter. KP maybe making the call to retreat here. Just 50 mana, no more hook shots at his disposal. No
Actually,
shrines, no nothing to...
The fights have been so long that he's just completely dead. He's got no more mana left. So at least for a period of time, this could be a bit of an advantage going towards them, because everybody else on Wings is looking pretty healthy. But will they know that they're doing this? The spiders are scouting.
The SF buyback being on cooldown, perhaps the big deterring factor as far as making too many aggressive plays, but they still don't want to give this Rosh up for free. KP still far away. He's at his tier 3 tower, needs to get here in time. Hooks to some neutrals to get here faster. He is doing whatever he can to make sure he rejoins with his team. He needs to be the one initiating any kind of a fight for Newbee.
I really feel the Shadow Fiend's doing decent damage now. The Monkey King Bar is making a big difference in these fights. And even the Dusa, she's throwing out tons of attacks, but her damage is absolutely not good enough.
Yeah, she's still got that Dragonlance, which you got to imagine is going to be replaced.
I think it's
soon.
honestly rapier time. I mean, oh.
Ooh, KP finds
Good
one,
grab.
hooks the pushback with the cog. Shadow is the target here. He has the Link and self-protect himself. KP slowing everyone down with the Shiver's Guard, but now he's kind of in a tough position here. Has another hook shot in a couple of seconds. May look
They
to
need to
turn
save.
and throw it. KP stunned up. Off to the north, though. That's well for the fight. Another hook shot. KP finds 2. The push will not be there in time to catch the SF. It's Shadow swapping him back to safety. And now the other Wings here is completely alone, and it's Faith Beyond on the Brood, going down, dead for 2 minutes, but does have buyback.
The Stone Gaze goes through, and all of a sudden the amplified
Wow.
damage shreds him. And the fight looked kind of iffy for Newbee there, but by hookshotting, not only did KP disable 2 heroes, but he got himself out of a bad position. And if they can kill the Rosh here and grab the Aegis, it should be great, but Venge will get here soon.
Here they go. Drow is very low in HP. She needs to pick up the Aegis, but they're going to get here in time. The hook shot trying to buy some time. KP wants to let this Drow get the Aegis.
She's going to die to Rosh.
Oh,
she died to Rosh.
Oh my God.
She died to Rosh.
Purge, what is going on with this Dota2 game? The SF is put out though. He doesn't have buyback. He cannot afford to die. The Brood is on the Medusa. Medusa doesn't have MKB. She's down. Buybacks immediately. The Stolen Requiem comes out, but it's not going to be enough to turn this fight around. Dazzle buys back. Wings, they smell blood. They want to push forward. Multiple buybacks from both sides, 3 being used by the Newbee side. And look at Roche, it's so low on HP. Can anyone get in here in time? Faith Beyond, he's got the webs, but he doesn't feel confident pushing forward. SCC gets Aegis and Cheese.
What the hell? Are they going to punish her?
Can they go in? They know there's no Drow Ranger for this one.
They want to, but they're too far away.
Shadow's charging forward, he's got a swap.
Oh, man. That was insane. I mean, this Drow does not have standard items. She's actually not that survival. 13 armor base right now. Roche is strong late game, and she did not kill him fast.
Well, I think Wings recognize that. They are in a position that even with Aegis and Cheese on that dire side, they can push forward. No Drow Ranger, that's a lot of Medusa's damage, and fighting into the Brood is tough for the Medusa because of that 60% miss chance.
And she does not care about items. Oh, the Echo!
The counter hook shot from KP, he's going to lock 2 in place. The Echo from Ice was good, but not great, and he's now deep in enemy territory. Will pay for this one with his life, if not for the grave that keeps him alive a little bit longer. Ice hoping for a prayer, but he's not going to get another hook shot from KP. Will lock him in place. The Medusa on the front lines may need some help. Turns. BKB tries to fight into the Broodmother here. KP, he keeps throwing these hook shots. He's going to be looking for another in a couple of seconds. Oh, stolen Echo Kaka! He'll pay for it with his life. He goes down. Another hook shot. KP trying to lock these heroes in place. The Venge will be back into this fight in a second. May look for KP here.
3 seconds to the next
SF
hook.
is very low though.
They want to punish.
KP, Blink hook catches SF by surprise. He's got no buyback. 2 minutes dead. Shadow's going to get the hell out of there. He backs off, but it's going to be a re-engagement. Faith Beyond. He's in the middle of this one. That's not a spot you want to be, mate. He's down. The smoke from Newbee, they're chasing after Y. It's just a dazzle, but they'll take it. That's another dieback. That's 3 heroes dead without buyback on the Radiant side. Newbee have their Drow Ranger back alive. The Boots are travel into the top lane. Newbee, they think they can end this game.
The Brood there kind of sacrificing himself almost for nothing. If you would have killed Clock, that was the dieback. They might not have pushed, but now they're going high ground.
Have they got the time to end this game? There's just an Earthshaker and a Vengeful Spirit. It doesn't feel like Wings can defend this one. They're going for the racks, not the throne.
First racks of the game, almost 60 minutes in. The winner of this going to the grand finals. It is so tense, and these heroes are slow without their
They've changed
boots.
their mind. They're going for the throne purge. They want to end this game.
They know there's very little these two heroes can do. Shaker gets caught out. He's still got no Echo Slam for 5 seconds. Push once, twice, thrice. He just keeps getting pushed around. KP again. The menace.
That's it.
It's over. Newbee in the grand finals.
What insane play from Newbee in that game, man. Their itemization was exactly what they needed. It bought them some team fight wins, and Wings just could not catch up in time. Amazing series.
Some impressive Dota from both Newbee and Wings. For Wings to turn this series around after such a one-sided game 1, they came back in game number 2 after a big early game deficit, and this game 3 was back and forth from start to finish, over 60 minutes.
That was a very, very good series, I must say.
That feels like it could have been a grand finals, a Valve Major, a TI high quality match. It was something special.
Yeah, and I think that the real MVP of that match, easily KP, that game. The amount of things that he did with his hero was incredible. Constantly buying his team time when they needed it, constantly disabling opponents and not dying himself. He just gave them so much leverage in that match to allow their cores to stay alive even better.
It's a hell of a series from all of Newbee. I mean, KP, you mentioned not just game 1, but game 2 and 3. Not just game 3, but game 1 and 2 as well was very impressive. We've got Newbee on the stage. They've just won. We're going to pass it. Oh, no, we're not going to pass it over just yet. But Purge, going into the grand finals, Newbee versus DC. What do you make of that matchup?
Dude, I don't even know. I think Newbee has been playing better consistently than DC. DC's first day was pretty wishy-washy. They played much better on the next couple series they played. So I think Newbee might have a small edge here. But with that said, Wings gave them a really good run here. It was very, very close. So I feel like DC may be looking a little better, but Newbee's pulling out some good stuff.
You got to wonder after a series like that, how much energy does a team like Newbee have left? That was going to be a draining best-of-3 series. We're going to find out just how Newbee are feeling after that game. Over to Eri on the main stage.
SCCC of Newbee with us right now, taking down the current international champions, Wings Gaming. Make some noise for Wings Gaming. Come on. Lads, what a great semi-final this has been for Malaysia. SCCC, really quick question. Coming from the loss of game 2, the way you guys lost that game, what went on in the huddle to get you guys back the way you guys got back mentally for the whole team?
就是整个第二场比赛时你们被翻盘了，然后之后你们是怎么讨论如何恢复状态的，准备打第3场比赛？
第一时间的话就是稍微就是讨论一下，但是也没有过多的争执，基本上就是说第3把我们要怎么打就可以了。
We just discussed it a little bit. We made sure not to really argue or talk about it too much, and then just figure out what we're going to do for game 3 and execute on that.
Were you guys tilted when you guys lost? Would you say that the team was tilted the way you guys lost that way on game 2?
你们第2场输了以后，有没有影响你们的状态？有没有觉得有点可能垂头丧气还是怎么样的？
这个的话没有吧，我们队基本上不太有这种情况，大家心态都非常好。
Not really. We don't really encounter that often. For the most part, we're in pretty good condition, and we don't really tilt like that.
All right. Well, that's great. Tell us about your Medusa pick, SCCC. I mean, with game 3. Tell us a little bit about that.
就是分析一下大拿加梅杜莎，你们第3场比赛选的，能分析一下这个英雄对你们来说什么作用吗？
我们也经常打小黑体系，然后因为对面的前4手英雄全部都是打阵地的，所以我们觉得美杜莎这个英雄就是很能够克制他们。
We often play drought lineups, and we looked at the first 4 picks on the other team. They like to fight these kind of frontal battles, and so we thought Medusa was a good counter for that.
Fantastic. You're now in the finals. Newbee is in the finals against Digital Chaos. How do you feel about going into them based on their performances of the tournament? And how do you feel about that?
那你们总决赛的对手当然是 DC， 那你对他们有什么感受？特别是他们现在打的状态和发挥的力量。
因为之前看他们就是打 VP， 觉得他们确实状态非常好，也非常强。但是我觉得我们能够一战。
After watching them play VP before, it's clear that they're a very strong team right now, but I think we can take them.
Ooh, it's on. All right. Lastly, I wanted to ask, when you hit 9K, what did you do to celebrate? Did you do anything?
那你成为9000岁的选手时，你如何庆祝？你有没有庆祝吗？当时？
吃了碗炒粉吧。什么？吃了碗炒粉。
I ate a bowl of some noodles, basically.
He ate a bowl of noodles. That's how you celebrate when you go 9K in China. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, SCCC of Newbee is going to the finals. Team Newbee, very nice against Digital Chaos. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. What a hype semifinal we have had for both West and East. We're going to be heading to the grand final in just a bit, Malaysia. We're going to throw it over to Paul right now and the experts desk. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Jerry, on the main stage, and congratulations to Newbee. They are through to the grand final. What a fantastic series as well. We've also got a new member of the analysts desk.
Hey!
Which is Sir Action Slack. I dread to think where this segment is going. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic, man.
Yeah. You are up to so much mischief this last 3 days.
I've been pretty busy. I've been very busy. I've been eating a lot of noodles, you know, getting my 9K mischief on.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was very exciting stuff.
I think you're going to have to eat an awful lot of noodles to get to 9K.
Yeah, I'm going to need a lot of noodles. But hey, I'm a big guy. I can handle that. Man, what a game, though, guys.
What a series as well.
Yes.
Ben, you were so hyped. That second game was amazing. We really enjoyed it, obviously, on here. And then the third game, start of the draft, we're kind of like, yeah,
God,
okay, this is kind
Broodmother.
well, at the start of the draft, we're like, yep, all right, this is all fairly standard. Okay, yep. Fifth pick wings, Broodmother. Uh-oh. We kind of went off the stage going, wow, what's the point in trying to predict wings' fifth picks anymore? It almost worked.
It almost worked, but they had a problem breaching high ground. The Medusa with the Shrine is pretty much unkillable at that T3, and after that they all were like, oh crap, we can't do this, and they just lost everything. And after that, Brood is much weaker than the Medusa. Medusa's skills way better, and she was on top of net worth for a very long time.
What I really liked about it is that it was clear that Newbee did not panic. They saw the Broodmother pick up, and they were like, okay, we'll do this aggro Trine lane, we'll put the Clockwork up against the Broodmother. It's not like a really fun matchup by any means, and they just gave up the tier 1 and tier 2s, and they occasionally ganked the Broodmother and stuff and put pressure on her, but they seemed to be very focused on controlling the mid and bottom half of the map and going, okay, we're gonna lose these top towers. The Broodmother is going to do a lot of pushing power, but ultimately, we have this high ground defense. We're Newbee, goddammit. We always defend high ground well, and we've got the ultimate heroes to do so.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, early on, I think if you're a Clockwork, in that top lane, you just get bullied all the way back to base every time. And the first 5 minutes, you're like, leave me alone! Stop harassing me!
That's
Must have
good,
been so frustrating, though.
Absolutely, but that's what offlaners, you know, that's what they feed on. You can't be a good offlaner until someone has abused you mentally and physically. Then you take that rage and you bring it back. And homie brought it back hard.
Oh, he brought it back
He
so
did,
hard.
very much
KP
so, yeah.
played an incredible Clockwork.
Yeah, very patient as well. Had to be patient.
And his build was different, too. Like, that was another thing that I felt like they didn't panic about. Is like they allowed this Clockwork to be able to get these longer term items that you just never see out of Clockworks, but it really worked out for them.
Yeah, Newbee again on top, doing really well in this new patch. I know it's very early days and very limited lands, but they seem to be adapting quite well compared to the other teams.
Yeah, it's still very unpredictable. A lot of people say that the laning phase doesn't matter as much as in 7.01. Would you agree?
I think a bit. You either have to have a hard focus on the mid game or a better focus on the laning phase. But I would definitely agree when it comes to like Broodmother situations, like really strong lane dominators. I feel like they probably don't matter as much. Yeah.
We've seen a number of games actually this week or in the last 3 days where strong laning setups have actually failed.
Yeah, I mean, we've also seen heroes that we thought maybe might have been popular this patch. I keep on putting like, whoa, what about Razor? What about Viper? But those heroes are very much lane dominators, and it seems like the teams do not favor that, and it seems like good for a good reason.
Yeah, Newbee in charge in that one. So actually, thanks. I mean, all 3 days now, we've had all of these different games, different styles. What have you enjoyed most?
I've enjoyed most seeing the old meta destroyed. Every time I see a Shadow Demon Luna get absolutely decimated, oh, I love it. But man, just the amount of new things coming out. I love those level 25 talent trees, 16 brood webs. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a new age, boys.
It is a new age. You must be enjoying the DC show so far.
DC? Whew, you know, it is hard to beat the best world in the team, or second best team in the world. They're a great team, all right? I love them. They're great. As good as Newbee, we're about to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they saying right now? Have you spoken to them today at all? Have you caught up with them? Are they
No.
relaxing, chilling out? What are they doing?
They try not to talk to me, but I do know that
I find that
they're-
really surprising as well.
A common strategy.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, but those guys, they seem like fun and games. They are all smiles, but then when they get to the finals, they're just different animals.
Yeah.
There's no more memes. There's no more smiles. It's deadly. It's terrifying. And I wouldn't talk to them either, because they're ravaged animal beasts. Stay away from DC, boys.
Wow. I think if that was the team talk that you gave just before they went out for the final, and you gave it to Newbee, I think maybe they'd just give the trophy to DC, wouldn't they?
Somebody would lose, for sure.
I mean, but there's the animalistic side of DC apparently, but from what we saw from Newbee here is that they just stayed very cool, right?
Yeah.
They stayed in control of their emotions all the time, and I think that that game 3 definitely showed, right? They played they played somewhat conservative, but I think their whole entire game was very structured, excluding one little mess up about that Roshan pit.
Yes.
But, things happen. There's a lot of stress.
Sometimes you get killed by Roshan.
I bet Unai afterwards was like, oh God, thank God. Because if we had lost that game because I died to Roshan without buyback, I would never heard the end of it.
It's okay, guys. I've got... I don't
It was so close too. We didn't get to see it, but the Roshan was so low.
Yeah.
Right? And he kills it. He would have eaten the cheese, picked up an Aegis.
Then pushed on, and who knows how quickly it would have ended. Interesting route through to this final for Newbee. They now go head-to-head against DC. How do you think that matches up? We won't get into it too deeply, but just generally, are you looking forward to it, or do you think that maybe Wings would have stood a better chance going through?
I think Newbee is definitely the stronger of the two teams, and I think they'll have a better chance against Digital Chaos for sure. I think their structure is... I mean, we talked about maybe the aggression versus DC, and we talked about how Adfinem was affected, but I also think the opposite side of things. I think that you can match DC's a little bit more calm play. I would say I think that Newbee is going to be able to potentially win out in late game situations, and that I think will be a big advantage in this coming finals. It's a best of 5 too, so.
DC has a strategic advantage. They have an Omni Knight, they have Meepo,
Yes.
they have a lot of other strategies up their sleeve, whereas Newbee I feel play, they're very predictable with their picks, but they have excellent execution.
They have I think Newbee still drafts really well, but it's DC have these specific pickups that can easily win you a draft in just one go.
I don't know.
Slacks, come on, what was that face? You were I don't know about it, I don't know if I agree.
DC has consistently gotten the number of Newbee a lot of times. It's a different patch. It's a different world. But at the same time, DC's got a lot of tricks up their sleeve, boys. I don't know. They can do high ground defense really well. Newbee, we saw it. But DC knows how to do crazy stuff. And we've seen it too.
I mean, Newbee already got shook by a surprising strategy by Wings in that game too, right? And DC can do the exact same thing that Wings can.
Yeah,
So.
they've also got the Meepo in there as well.
Yeah, they have these threats, these specific hero threats. Kind of reminds me of maybe OG in the Frankfurt Major, kind of similar, where there's these specific hero threats that are going to be tough to deal with. Even from a support position, right? They showed this Leshrac, and this Leshrac is a really powerful 4 position that you have to kind of keep your mind on because he's unusual. The amount of damage he outputs, the amount of tower pushing he does, it's something that you always kind of have to keep in the back of your mind. There's a lot of picks like that for DC.
Yeah, Pudge was another one. Misery picking out the Pudge after playing it I don't know, twice in about 3 years or something. Suddenly decided that from 10 years ago he decided he really liked playing Pudge and he'd bring that one back.
It was such a good Pudge too.
It was a good Pudge. It was a really good Pudge. Thank you very much, all 3 of you. We are headed off to a break right now, but thanks you to Sir Action Slacks for joining us as well. It has been a fantastic 3 days of Dota 2, but it's not over yet. The grand final is still to come. It has been decided now. We are down to just 2. It's Newbee or Digital Chaos. We'll see you soon.